What is up? Welcome back. 2023-2024 NBA season previews. My name is Matt Hanifan. I'm with Jiarmani Depena. We'll be previewing the Toronto Raptors today. But first, Jiarmani, what's going on, man?
Nah, nothing much. Got to talk about the Toronto Raptors. A lot of change for Toronto this offseason. So it's gonna be a lot of interesting tidbits to talk about.
They went 41-41 last year. They finished ninth in the East, just outside of they're technically in the play, but I was going to say outside of the top 8. But they finished ninth. They lost to the Chicago Bulls in their first play-in game at home after leading by 18 or 19 points. They choked away a big lead. It was kind of a weird season for them in general. It felt like they couldn't find a rhythm. They finished 13th in offense, 11th in defense. But a lot of their offense did come in transition. They were one of the most frequent transition teams in the league last year, and that's where they generated, I guess, a bulk of their production. Their half-court offense just wasn't great. It wasn't smooth. They kind of lacked shot creation, even though they had Pascal Siakam. They had Fred VanVleet. OG Anunoby's not a bad shot creator. Scotty Barnes had a little bit of a disappointing second season in the league, even though he was still good on some accounts. They kind of changed his role midway through last year, at least modified it a little bit to where he was being put in better positions to succeed, but his shot was still a little bit of a problem. I think he took a little bit of a step back defensively, or at least he didn't take that complete step forward, even though he was a very good defender as a rookie. You obviously want to build off of that. Obviously OG Anunoby was involved in trade rumors up until the trade deadline. Memphis was a team that was heavily in trade discussions with them. They were expected, or they didn't. I don't think they expected off, but I think it was rumored they offered 3 first-round picks for him, plus more. And Masai Ujiri just turned that down. They didn't trade Fred VanVleet. They lost him in the offseason for nothing. Pascal Siakam was in trade rumors this entire offseason, mostly to the Hawks. OG Anunoby was another player that was kind of involved in trade discussions. Scotty Barnes is untouchable, which he should be untouchable, and I expect him to have a better third season. But they also fired Nick Nurse. And they brought in Darko Rajakovic. I think that's how you say his name, Rajakovic. I apologize if I mispronunciate that, but I'll just refer to him as Darko. But they brought in Darko, who an assistant in the league, I believe. He runs this motion-heavy, pick-and-roll-centric offense. And so I guess I'm guessing that'll improve their half-court offense just a little bit. But I guess, where are you at in terms of what happened last year? Everything that happened in the offseason, they didn't really make much moves outside of losing Fred VanVleet. And then what you expect from them heading into the season. Where's your kind of head at? Since I just talked a lot and I probably need to shut up.
No, you're all good, Matt. The Toronto Raptors are a very interesting case because finished 41-41, top half in the league, both offense and defense, like you said before. But just really couldn't find it, and it's weird because you would think, especially at home when they lose a playing game at home in that ruckus Toronto crowd. I feel that they should have pulled the triggers on a couple of trades. They should have, if they knew the writing was on the wall for this core that won the championship in 2019 with the help of Kawhi. I feel 3 first-round picks from Memphis plus more stuff for OG Anunoby. How do you not make that trade?
Especially when there's discussions about him not. I was saying him not coming back, but
because
there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, and there was reports that he wanted to have more of ball handling responsibilities, but it seems like he may get that since VanVleet's gone. But I still think it's mind-boggling that they would send it because I do like OG, but I guess this season will be very telling. If he's able to take that next leap, since he's been asking, he wants to be more of a point forward. This is your chance to prove it. Scotty Barnes, obviously. He averaged the same amount of points per game in 3 more games the second season, but his assists did go up. So I'll give him credit for that, to at least improving in some aspects for that second season. I feel that if they really want to go all in with Scotty Barnes, they may have to come at having to finally pull the trigger on trading Pascal and even trading Anunoby at the deadline if they see he's improving. They did draft Grady Dick, which is going to be like, I'm going to speak on Grady Dick for a second because I know damn well it's going to be funny as hell. Here, like, imagine Mike Breen NBA primetime game in Toronto on the wing, and you hear Grady Dick. Like, he's gonna just call it like normal, and he's gonna be like, from down. It's like, but that's all.
Wow, what a button!
Oh man, I could keep going, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna get like hit with like some sort of strike or something if we keep. But
please, YouTube, spare us.
Yeah. Okay. But all right. Nevertheless, I think he one of the better shooters in the draft. I feel that he's gonna progress into the NBA very nicely. But I do think if Toronto really wants to start making steps to improving this team, they're probably like I'm surprised they didn't move off of Pascal to the Hawks. I think that would have been a good get for the Hawks for them for sure. So I feel, depending how the season goes, they may end up being very, very busy come the deadline. For all we know, the Raptors turn into one of the better teams in the East again, and so it's really weird. They have like really like at their best they can be like a top 6 seed in the East, and then Pascal and everybody is having themselves a really great season. But I do see them probably hanging around. Maybe like I could see that team being like 40-ish wins, because I think that team's too good to be anything worse than that. But I do believe that they should look to try to trade a lot of the a lot of the vets now on their team, and Pascal and OG. Depending on how the season goes, I can see them getting moved by the deadline.
Pascal Siakam on a roughly 38 million expiring contract. Again, he was involved in a lot of rumors this offseason. Who knows kind of what the future looks like for him, at least in a Raptors uniform. They can extend him up until the start of the official next offseason, which would be June 30th. And so if they want to do that during the season, again, today's the last day for players who aren't on an expiring contract, plus the rookie scale stuff, to sign an extension if they want to. But Pascal, I don't know. Like, it depends. It just depends on what happens between now and February if they trade him or not. Again, there were so many rumors this offseason. I'm not sure if he's going to be willing to sign an extension to the team they trade him to, depending on what team that is. But that's just me thinking out loud. I'm not sure. But he's on a roughly a $38 million expiring contract. OG Anunoby, $18.5 million. He has a player option for next season, the last year of his deal. Gary Trent Jr., $18.5 million. He's on an expiring contract. Thaddeus Young, who might be involved in the rotation, I think he'll be a little bit of like their backup 5 behind Jakob Poeltl, who I want to talk about in a little bit, but he's on an expiring contract. Otto Porter Jr., who they signed last offseason, and I believe he's injured, or he's coming off injury, one of the two. But he is on an expiring contract for $6.3 million. So it's like they have guys that they can move if they want to. Dennis Schroeder. He signed a 2-year deal for the full mid-level this offseason, which is a little bit of a confusing move, but a move that, I mean, obviously Toronto made in lieu of Fred VanVleet going to Houston. And so he's a guy who you can maybe flip for something, maybe this deadline or the offseason, whatever they want to do. Chris Boucher has 2 years left on his deal for roughly $22 million, or 2 years left on a 3-year deal for $22 million that they can decide to move. Something I didn't mention, but they re-signed Jakob Poeltl to a 4-year, $78 million deal. They traded for him at the last deadline. They needed a center. They needed like a functional center. They got it. He helped their offense because he was like their screener. He would open up stuff for VanVleet and for Siakam. They're two lead ball creators. They're lead 2-shot creators. And so it's like a screener. He helped in that facet. They brought him back for 78. He was also just a good rim protector and a good guy who can contest shots to the rim, a solid rebounder, like a guy who can play that who played that role for him because they really didn't have a guy who was functional enough at the 5 um, to do that. So they brought him back on a 4-year, $78 million deal. They added Dennis Schroeder. But other than that, like they signed Jalen McDaniels, who looked really good in the preseason, at least from like the limited sample that I saw. But he just adds to the collection of like 6'8" wings that they have. So I don't really know where he's at in their rotation. He's probably coming off the bench as probably like an 8th or 9th guy because how impactful he is in his previous pedigree in Charlotte and a little bit in Philadelphia, even though he didn't get a whole lot of run there. But he's a guy who could add something to at least like defensively. He's a multi-positional defender. He's not a bad shot maker. And so it's like they have just a collection of guys where it's like something's got to give at some point. But I think this team, I think they will. I mean, Masai Ujiri is so hard to predict sometimes because it's like he hasn't really made any moves the last 2 or 3 years, like at all in terms of trades. And he's a GM who wants to win every trade, kind of like a Daryl Morey-esque type GM. And so it's like, I don't know if he's going to be trading Siakam. Maybe he learned his lesson with Van Vliet because obviously you want to get something for Van Vliet in return. Maybe it's like a team offers multiple first-round picks and a desirable asset or two for Siakam. Same for, I mean, maybe teams offer a pick or two plus a decent player for Trent. Like maybe they just start selling off pieces because it's like, okay, I'm getting all this draft capital in the end. We're kind of picking a direction with this, and maybe, or maybe they just sell off one of those guys, and maybe it's like a competitive rebuild or whatever. But so that's what makes this team kind of hard to project. But I still think they finish with around 38, 39 wins, 37. I think that's like a good number for them. I still think they finish outside of the play-in race. Just barely. I think that I have them as an 11 seed right now. That could change just depending on what happens throughout the season, who they acquire, but that's just my preseason projection for them right now. I think they got worse in the offseason. They have a good head coach, or at least a head coach that I think will help improve them in some facet, but I know he's just not going to run OG Anunoby for 40 minutes a night and help save his legs a little bit, kind of like Dick Nurse did. So maybe there's something there. But who knows, man?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the more interesting cases with Toronto because like it's kind of been like this the last couple of years. It's like not as bad as the Bulls. Like you're kind of like an NBA purgatory, but I would just say you gotta like pretty much like just find your identity again, or just find a direction and take it. And honestly, as you were speaking on Siakam, like I always find it interesting that I could probably, if he were going to get traded anywhere, I could honestly, like surprisingly enough, might even see him getting traded to Philly if Philly was really was able to make that happen. I think it would, either for Harden or probably like a mix of like either him or Tobias Harris and stuff.
It'd probably be for, I mean, like, because it's like with Harden, I wouldn't want to trade Siakam if I'm Toronto. Hell no. But like,
yeah, so that's why
I just thought of Harden because of the money, but Tobias would help with that. So I like Tobias and stuff. Maybe
I'm pretty sure like that you could facilitate some sort of multi-team trade to get everybody where they need to go. But but I think this is one of those seasons that Toronto's probably gonna have to, like, it's around that time that Toronto's gonna have to pick a direction. And if not, then there's probably gonna have to be there's gonna be some ripple effects either way, whether you do nothing or trade off the guys you're looking that are going to be worth some value. Because if you let a lot of these guys leave for nothing, then Masai Ujiri's I think days in Toronto are absolutely numbered.
Yeah. Who's your X factor? Like who or at least who do you think is an X factor for this team to at least like make a play-in spot or like a
I would say it would be contingent on a leap from Scotty Barnes. If not him, then to see how Grady Dick finds his way into the NBA. Is he going to be able to translate that great shooting or the shooting he had in college into the NBA? So I think those are the two to look out for. But yeah, I'm so ready just to hear Mike Breen call one of his games. Oh man, Toronto does have some bright spots, so at least there's some things to be optimistic about.
I think they only have. Maybe I'm thinking up another team, but I think when the national TV stuff came out, they had like the fewest amount of games. I think they only had like one game. I don't know if it was on ESPN or not. So maybe you have to wait another year for Mike.
Either that or wait for somebody to do some AI stuff, work some AI magic.
AI nowadays, it's like it's people are crazy.
It's crazy. You got to be careful. If you get too famous, somebody can incriminate you.
Yeah, honestly, man. Honestly. Yeah. So I mean, you were saying like around 40 wins for this team, right?
Yeah, I would say probably slight regression a little bit. But I mean, it seems like a team that may finish just with the exact same record. Yeah, just out of all the teams that we previewed, I wouldn't be surprised if they finished with like a near identical record from the year before.
Again, it helps or it doesn't help that Van Vliet's gone. And you replace him with Dennis Schroeder, who is like who has a little bit more tunnel vision, a little less passing ability, and he's also not as willing of a passer. He's not as potent of a scorer, even though the efficiency stuff for Fred VanVleet's not great. And so that obviously takes a little bit of a hit with Schroeder for considerably less money, but it's still something that impacts the rotation. But I do think they will get better season from Scotty Barnes. I do think they will get a better improved season from OG Anunoby. Siakam is like a perennial all-star and like a guy who's going to be in the all-NBA discussion by season's end. Like he's just that type of talent. I wonder, I mean, the spacing is a little bit weird with Schroeder and Jakob Poeltl and Scotty Barnes, and so that's something that they're going to have to iron out. Again, it's like a pick and roll centric scheme, a motion heavy scheme that Darko is going to be implementing and that he's specialized in before internationally. But I'm just interested to see, like, I think they have improvements from their half court offense. I think I don't know what the defense looks like schematically. Like I know Nick Nurse was famous for always just throwing just the kitchen sink at the wall. And like he was always very willing to adjust in game with the box. He'd run a box in one, and then he would 2-3 zones. Like he would switch, blitz, hedge, all this other like stuff. Like is it a little bit more conservative? I mean, I would imagine with Darko, but who knows? And how would that in turn benefit like an OG? How would that benefit like a Scotty Barnes, who are two very good switchable defenders? How is that going to affect Jakob Poeltl when he's on the floor? Are they going to play mostly a drop with him? What are they going to do? Are they going to do that with Siakam? What are they going to do with Gary Trent, who I don't think we've mentioned yet, who's one of the best 3-and-D players, or certainly one of their best 3-and-D players, one of their best shooters. How's that going to affect him? Like, how is it going to affect these guys who have this defensive pedigree and who were always switching and doing all this different stuff? And how is that going to help their play offensively? How is their performance on defense going to affect their offense? Like, there's just a lot of questions that I have with this team. So again, it makes it a little bit harder to project, but I think this team got worse. I think they'll in turn finish worse, even though the last couple of years have just kind of been like blah for them. And so I think they're around 38 wins, 37 wins. Do you have any final thoughts?
With a lot of questions for this Toronto Raptors team, but good thing is we don't have to wait very long to see some of those, see how some of these questions and how these answers play out, because NBA season starts tomorrow, and then got most of the rest of the league going for the next couple of days here, and then the NBA season is back in full swing. So a lot of things to look forward to. I'm not sure in Toronto's case, but hopefully this is a year where they finally decide to pick a direction.
Yeah. I mean, there's a guy who just drove by my house, and I think it was a motorcycle, I don't know if the audio picked that up, but I think he agreed with your point about the NBA season being right around the corner. Thank y'all for watching. Like and subscribe. Tell me why I'm dumb. Tell me why I'm annoying. Tell me why I should shut up, because these last couple of previews I've talked a lot. I should shut up, but that's a different discussion.
You've been busting your ass.
Huh?
You've been busting your ass, so you got to talk. You got to talk your shit.
I've said a lot of words. Like and subscribe. Check out vendettasportsmedia.com. Our YouTube videos. We have our season previews on the YouTube page. Please go check that out. We have our season previews on the site. So we'll go check out the other content. Major League Baseball. Playoffs is going on right now. That's in the thick and thin things. The NFL, college football, NHL just started up. James is posting a lot of UFC content. Just really anything and everything. Please go check all that stuff out at vendettasportsmedia.com. Please go check out our YouTube page and all the great content coming out of there. My name is Matt. This is Jiarmani. Thank y'all for watching. See y'all next time.